Hey everybody, this is Drew, and you're at my channel, Drew Scale Models. So in this video, I'm going to build the Tamiya 148 scale P-51B Mustang. This is a really good kit, had a lot of fun, went together really well. If you're a beginning modeler, this would be a great place to start. I built everything completely out of the box, and again, no serious issues. So I want to thank all my returning subscribers. I do appreciate it. You're making my channel grow. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and give me a like and a comment. And if you like my content, that'll really help me out. And at the end, I'll have some final thoughts and show you some pictures of a completed build. But kick back, get a beverage, and I'll see you at the end. So I'm going to get going on the cockpit. That seems to be typical when you build airplane models. And this one actually comes with a pilot, which is really cool. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to get these pieces cut out and start assembling and get some primer down and do some detail painting. So once I get everything primed, I want to simulate the wood grain of the cockpit floor of the P-51 Mustang. And so I'm going to paint this using this Vallejo wood grain paint. And then I'm going to overpaint it with black because that's what was used, some non-slip paint. And then I'm going to scuff it up. I'm going to use a little sanding stick to remove some of the black paint and reveal the wood floor and see how this comes out. And once I get this painted, I'm going to move on to painting the rest of the interior with this Vallejo interior green paint. And I'll use some of this Vallejo green zinc chromate lightened up with some yellow for the wheel wells. Okay, so I finished building the cockpit, and I think it looks okay. It's not extremely detailed, but I am happy with the way the wood is showing through the black. I basically just took one of these, it's very very fine, and I just kind of wet it down a little bit, and it just barely scraped the floor and show some scuffs where the wood is showing through. And I did a little dry brushing as well. You can see the instrument panel, radio box, fuel tanks, that sort of thing. A little bit around the seat, but I'm going to use my pilot, so I got him painted. And I know my pilot painting figure skills is not all that great, but I think from a distance and from maybe a closed canopy, if I decide to close it, I think he'll be just good enough. So we're going to put him in there. He's ready to go. So let's make sure he fits okay, because I've had these where I've got to chop the legs off, and he's going to fit pretty good. His feet go right into the pedals. Nice. All right, so I'm going to secure him in with, dropped him. Let's see. So I'm just going to use some, I don't want to use super glue because if I got to take them out, I'm just going to use some of this white glue. Just let them sit in there with this. So I did do a little bit of painting of these side consoles and some dry brushing. I'm not going to worry about any washes. You're just not going to see it. I know it's fun, but you won't be able to see really the interior. So, especially with the tub in there. Okay. All right. Then the cockpit fits nicely into the fuselage halves, and we'll get this glued in place and then stick the fuselage halves together and then move on with the wings. So I'm just using some tape here to set the dihedral of the wings. There is a tiny little gap where the wings meet the fuselage, and if you do this, it basically pushes the wings up into the gap and sets the correct dihedral. So we'll let that dry for a while. Now I'm going to stick the horizontal stabilizers on. And here I'm just using a micro drill to drill out the exhaust pipes. Just add a little bit more realism. I think it came out okay. The aileron flaps are separate pieces, and you can pose them in the down position if you like. I went ahead and did that just so you can, that way you can see the options that the kit gives you. Same thing with the same thing with the oil cooler radiator flap in the back there. You see, you can close that if you want or leave it open. So I did that as well. Okay, so everyone's favorite part of modeling, said no one ever. I'm gonna mask the clear parts here. I'm getting better at this, but it's still a pain in the arse. Uh, when you put your tape down, burnish it really well with some cotton buds, cotton swabs, whatever you want to call it, and that way you can really see the outline of the frames. Also, it helps to hold it up to a light source. And always use a fresh blade on your hobby knife, because you don't want to put a lot of pressure on and just let the knife blade do the work. And we're just going to give everything a coat of Vallejo black primer. And I'm just using this Vallejo, it's called US Air Force medium gray, but the the FS number is for the neutral gray they use on the bottom of these. Then I do some post shading, which is my preferred method of getting some paint color variation. So I just add a little bit of white to the mix and highlight some panels. And then once that's, let that dry, and then I masked off the bottom. And now I'm going to start on the top using some Vallejo Olive Drab. This is a really nice color, and I'm going to paint the clear parts first and just set those aside. So I'm going to give the top side a coat of Olive Drab. And I'm also going to do post shading by lightening up this mix with some yellow. And that's what you want to use for Olive Drab. You don't want to add white to it because it gives a weird color to it. But since Olive Drab is a mixture of black and yellow, if you want to lighten it, you want to add yellow to it. So you'll see me here in a minute. I'm going to add yellow to the mix. I'm going to do some highlighting on the panels. And then sometimes if you get it a little bit too bright, the best thing to do is come back over it with a highly thin mixture of the base color. And so here I'm just doing some highlighting. And then I'm going to come over it again with a super highly thin, just a mist over with the base color of this Olive Drab. I think I probably used like maybe 80% thinner and 20% paint. So it kind of brings it all together and tones down a little bit. So there you go. And let's take the mask off and see how we did. Hopefully nothing pulls up, which I let this dry for quite a while. I typically do my painting at night. And then that's when I typically model, is in the evenings after work and stuff. So it'll sit for a good 24 hours mostly. But there, looks pretty good, I think. I think I got some good color variation there. Yeah, so let's set all that aside, let it dry really nice. Now I'm going to paint the peripheral part. So this is some Vallejo tire black. I'm going to paint the tires. And yeah, just get everything ready for final assembly. I like to paint the yellow tips on the props, then mask those off, and then paint everything else black. And that's my preferred way of doing it. It just works for me. But there you go. And I'm going to use some of this Vallejo metal color aluminum paint to paint the landing gear. And don't forget to paint the inside of the landing gear doors as well. And I'll use the Vallejo metal color silver to paint the drop tanks. I like this silver color, it looks really cool. And once I'm happy with everything, I'm going to give the model a coat of Vallejo polyurethane gloss varnish. Let that dry for a while. This will set up for the decals. And I also realized I needed to paint the exhaust pipes. So I'm going to do that before I move on to decals. And this is just, I think it's just some Tamiya dark iron. And now we're going to move on to decals. So I use the kit decals. Tamiya decals have a bad rap. They're a little thick. They get a lot of, the carrier film and everything like that. But I found these to be really, really well, go down really well. So I'm doing this scheme. It's Olay 2 or Ol 2. The box art shows Shangri-La, but that's what everyone seems to do. The only thing that didn't work on the decals were the stripes. And so the white stripes on the wings, on the stabilizers, on the tail. So I am going to go back and paint them white. So I masked off, did some measurements. I'm using some kitchen wrap to make sure I don't get any overspray everywhere, and unwrap it, and let's see how we did. Okay, so decals are on. Cleaned it up a little bit, did a few touch-up areas where I needed to paint, and now I'm ready to do some washing. And before I do that, I gave it a coat of polyurethane satin varnish by Vallejo, and I'm going to use this clay-based wash Dark Dirt from Flory Models. So yeah, and so all you do, and you can see here I just got it decanted it in a cup, and you do is just slather it on. So I'm moving on to final assemblies, and I put the landing gear pieces together first before installing them. That's the way the instructions have you do it. However, if I could go back and do it again, I would have done it by putting the struts in first and then putting the wheels on and then the landing gear door. They go together really well, but for some reason I had a little bit of finagling to get the struts to go into the slot. Sometimes you get debris or paint inside, and you got to clean them off. So I think it would have been a lot easier and better if I would have put the struts in first, and then put the wheels on, and then that landing gear door. I think it would have made it a lot easier, because sometimes if you don't watch what you're doing, you can break pieces off, that kind of stuff. So, but otherwise, I mean, it went together fine. I just think if I were to go back and do it, I'd have done it a little bit different than doing it all at once. So there's just some actuators that go in, painted those silver, and otherwise I think we're getting close to the end. So I decided I want to do a little bit of chipping, and I'm going to use a sponge here. I don't do this very often, so I'm going to practice a little bit on my old paint mule, the Intruder. And so I'm just going to dab a little paint along the areas where it's going to get worn and chipped, especially around the top of the wings here where maintenance crews and the pilot's going to get in and out of the cockpit. Those are usually pretty worn down. I'm also going to apply some around areas where these are maintenance hatches. These are the gun doors where you open up and load up ammunition. As you can see as well, too, I made some gun smoke stains using pastel chalks. I didn't get that on camera, but it's my preferred way of doing it. But yeah, just a little bit goes a long way here. That's a little bit out of my comfort zone, so let me know what you think if it looks okay. And then I'm going to paint the lights. There are landing lights, formation lights on each wings, and what I do here is I just use a little bit of silver paint, and then I go over those areas with the appropriate color, but I use Tamiya clear paints for this, so I think it did okay. So I'm getting down to the last few bits and bobs. So I'm going to install the pilot's gun sight, the antenna. I got to put the clear parts on, and I always use PVA or white glue, Elmer's glue, that kind of thing, to put those on. And I'm going to be wrapping up this build. So again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I do appreciate it. This is a lot of fun, and thank you for helping my channel grow. Let me know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like. I'm okay with that. And stay tuned for the slideshow, and I will see everybody on the next build. Take care. This is Drew. See you later. Bye-bye.